do that. Okay, like I say, we're on the key of D, and what I'm just going to do first of all, just to get you warmed up before the warm-up, is just to play each of the chords one at a time. I'm just going to call out the name, and I just want you to give it a little strum, and we're going to start with the chord D. Just one strum. Here we go, D. Now, I did say it's not a lesson, but just in case you're not sure, I'm just using one finger across all three, the first three strings. But if you want to use the three-fingered approach like that, that's absolutely great. And if you're a chap with fat fingers, and I've met them, you might get away with just two fingers on there and get the chord D. So anyway, just going to start with D. That's the last of my instructions. There you go, D. Good. Just going alphabetically up the scale. The next one is E minor. So there's E minor. So I'm going to strum it as well. So you should have something that sounds roughly like that. E minor. Let's go to the next chord, and it's F sharp minor. Now this is a new one today. So I will tell you the fret numbers. It's 2, 1, 2, 0. So just going across the My Dog's Got Fleas sound, 2, 1, 2, 0. It's a bit like G7 moved across. So that's F sharp minor. The next chord is G. Let's give it a G. Just a normal G. Good. The next chord is A major. So make sure you're playing A major, which is 2, 1, 0, 0. That's good. That's A major. Now the next chord is A7. Now because we're in the key of D, A7 crops up quite often. A7 is 0, 1, 0, 0. So when I call out these numbers, I'm calling in the order of G, C, E, A, the strings. So just one finger on the first fret of the C string. Sounds very much like A7, but it's got a subtle difference. It's got a little bit more tension to it. So that's your A7. And the final chord is B minor. Not everyone's favorite, but... So B minor is the final chord in the list today. And I'm just playing that with a bar across the second fret, and then my third finger on the fourth fret of the G string. So it's 4, 2, 2, 2. So they're all the kind of the basic chords in the key of D. And actually, you might be wondering why. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background here. Why we're going through these keys in a certain order. We started with C, and then we went to G, and then we went to D. And you think, well, is that random? Well, it's absolutely not random. What it is, we're following a thing called the circle of fifths. You may have heard of this. There's a picture of it. And this is like it's not a magic circle, but I sometimes think of it as a magic circle. It's all our music in the Western Hemisphere comes from that circle. All the keys, all the scales, all the chords, all the why does this chord sound right with this one? And also, why does Dave go around a certain sequence when he's doing his ukulele warm-ups? If you go to the top of the circle, you'll see the C at the top there. And if you go to the right, and this is going from C to G, you have actually gone up a fifth in terms of the number of notes, C, D, E, F, G. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's why we did the key of G next. And then we moved from G to the key of D, and that's today, which is the next one going up a fifth. So it doesn't take a mathematician to work out that next time, in 2 weeks' time, we're doing the key of A, because that's the next one around the circle. And like I say, this isn't a lesson, so I'm not going to explain more about that, but it's worth getting a printout off the internet of that, because you'll find that the music is much more well organized when you've got an idea of the circle of fifths and how chords and keys relate to each other. So the circle of fifths. Okay, well, let's remove that, because back to see your smiling happy faces. Good. Right, let's get on. We're going to start strumming now, and we're just going to start with the chord D. And from that, you'll remember from the previous weeks, we just very gradually build up the strumming. So we're just going to start with literally the chord D. I'm going to put a metronome on. And I want you just to strum a D on beat 1. So I want to be counting. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Nice and easy. And 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now beat 3 as well. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So we're very slowly building up the chords, strumming. Now we're going to strum beats 1, 2, and 3. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. By the way, don't squeeze that D chord too hard. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Your thumb will start to ache. Now let's do all the 4 strums. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's good. Okay, we're just doing down strums at the moment, of course, and it won't sound quite so interesting after a while. So we're going to put the up strum in between. So let's just pause there for a sec. And because most strumming patterns, to make them interesting, have up strums in between the down strums. Now your hand is going down, down, down. So we just want to hit the strings on the way up in between as well. Notice my hand hasn't changed speed. Down, down, and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So let's put the metronome back on. By the way, I'm doing this at 80 beats per minute if you wanted to replicate this at home on a metronome. Always recommended using a metronome. Here we go. So 80 beats a minute with the up strum in between. And we're playing it straight. We're not swinging it. We're not going dump, dee-dump, dee-dump, dee-dump. We're just going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So try and avoid swinging that rhythm. We'll do swinging one day, but not today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It does get more exciting. You've just joined. And finish after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and right. Okay, that's warmed me up anyway. Okay, let's move on now. So we're going to do look up what today's strumming pattern is, and so I'm going to put onto the screen the worksheet, which I can't see. Maybe it's on here. There we go. Right, and we're going to be doing this strumming pattern I've got shown on the screen. I'll explain how it goes. So whether you're a counter or a down-up downer, there it says strumming pattern 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. So you're strumming on all the beats 1, 2, 3, and 4, but you're only putting up strums after 2 and after 4. It sounds like this. Down, down. beats, of course. So that's the pattern. Apparently it's called the church lick in some quarters. So I'm not sure how it got that name, but let's say some of you know. So we're going to do this thing called the church lick. And it can be played very quickly. We're not doing that today. Like that, but we're just going to do it a bit slower than that. But that's the pattern for today. So it's going to be down, down, up, down, down. You can see it's based on our constant down, up, down, up, down, up. We've just dropped 2 of the up strums. So let's just do that strumming pattern just on 1 chord to start with. And just for the sake of not falling asleep, let's change it to G. So we're going to play a G chord, that strumming pattern. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Down, down, up, down, down, up. 2, 3, and stop. That's good. Okay, let's just try that on a different chord. Let's go to A, just for the sake of something different. It's important to know where beat 1 is. Often this isn't pointed out, but it's important to know where beat 1 is so that your pattern falls in the right place, especially when you're playing with other people, of course. So this time I will count 1, 2, and 3, 4, and the more you hear it, the more it will sound comfortable. So here we go, the A chord, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 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 and 2 and 3, 4, and 1, 2 and 3, 4, and 1, 2 and 3, 4, and one more time, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Okay, good. Right, we're going to now move on to an actual strumming pattern, and just let me move the screen up. So we're going to do chord progression number 1 first of all. So just have a look at that, and so we've just got 4 chords there. D, G, A, and A7. And we're going to be playing those using that strumming pattern at that speed. And just going to go around those 4 chords in a circle. So we'll do 2 bars of each. When I say a bar, that strumming pattern is 1 bar long. Yeah, so it's 1 bar. So there are 4 beats in the bar. Most of the music we play, especially pop music, is in 4/4 time. That means there are 4 beats in a bar, and the first 4 means 4 beats in a bar. And we're going to play 2 bars of D, 2 bars of G, 2 bars of D, and 2 bars of A7, which is the 0-1-0-0 chord. Using that strum pattern, let's go. So 2 bars of each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2. Now G. Back to D. Now A7. D. G. D again. A7. Okay, on your own this time. Here we go. And see if you can memorize that pattern. See if you can do it from memory. Okay, we're going to finish on D, 2, 3, 4. Right, we're going to do one bar of each chord now, and at the same speed, so just one bar, one strumming pattern per chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1. G. A7. D. G. Last time round. Finish on the D. Yeah. Right, just going to do one more, and this time only 2 strums per chord. So a little bit trickier, but for some of you this might be a nice thing to try. So we're just going to go through only half a bar on each chord. So the down, down, up will be just one chord. Here we go. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, down, up. So D, G, D, finish on the D. Okay, let's move on then. So that's chord progression number 1, and that's called a 1-4-1-5, and that's because of the circle of fifths. So and the positions that they sit on the circle in this key. Let's move on to chord progression number 2 now, and a bit like we did last time, this is a 12-bar sequence, and it's sometimes called a 12-bar blues because it's used in blues music and rock and roll. And it's we're going to use the same rhythm, of course. Now you've had a bit of practice now, so I'm going to speed it up. So you're warming up. So we're going to speed up to 100 beats per minute, 100 beats per minute, and we're just going to do one bar or one strum pattern per chord. So we're going to get through it in 12 bars. But as you can see, each chord's there for a little bit longer. Okay, so here we go with the 12-bar blues using the church lick. Chord progression number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now G. Back to D. A. G. D. And again, whole thing. Back to the top. And finish on the D. Okay, good. That's the 12-bar blues, and we're going to move on now to chord progression number 3 because we've done all those chords before, but we haven't looked at the minor chords yet. We haven't included them in our strumming. So we're going to now do chord progression number 3, but we're only going to do the first 4 chords to start with, just to get those into our playing. And then we'll move on to the second group of 4. So just the first line of chord progression number 3. I'm going to go back to 80 beats a minute, because we've got to get that pesky little B minor in there as well. So we'll do 2 bars of each chord using the church lick, top line only of progression number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. A. B minor. F sharp minor. Back to D. A. Back to D. F sharp minor. And just finish on D for now. So that's the first 4 bars. Now we're looking at the second 4 bars. So E minor, D, G, A7. So let's loop those 4. So starting with the E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now A7. E minor. D. G. A7. Let's just do that one more time. D. G. A7. Finish on E minor, even though that's not the right chord to finish on. Okay, we are now going to play that chord progression number 3 all the way through. So all 8 bars, but 2 strumming patterns per bar, but per chord. So here we go. All 8 bars, starting on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. A. B minor. F sharp minor. E minor. D. G. A7. Okay, all the way around on your own this time, and one more time all the way through D. Finish on the D, 3, 4. And that concludes our strumming for the warm-up. So well done, everybody, if you've got through that and managed to play all those chords, because one or two of those minor chords are a little bit tricky. So that's good. So you should all be nicely warmed up now. What I'm going to do just to finish off, a little warm down, I suppose, is just to, I'm going to strum a chord, and I'm going to ask you to work out what it is, either by ear or by going through all the chords and finding one which matches, which is kind of like doing it by ear, really. You might even recognize it straight away. The first thing to ask yourself when I play a chord, is it major or minor? Does it have that bright, happy major sound, or does it have that melancholy, sadder, more thoughtful minor sound? And then that narrows it down a little bit. So it'll only be one of the chords that we've played today. So here's the first one. See if you can guess what this is. Okay. Now, can anyone honestly say they got it straight away? Oh yeah, one or two. Yeah, good. I'm just scanning through all your faces. Yeah, good. Well done. So one or two of you got that straight away. I mean, I'm not expecting you to. That's not an easy thing to try. But let's try another chord now. So what about this one? It's got a certain flavour to it, that one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did I not tell you what the last one was? I didn't, did I? The other one was G. Right. So that was G. This one I've just done. If anyone can guess that and tell me on the space bar, just hold the space bar down. And anyone brave enough to say what they think it is? I heard someone say
A.
Not A,
Major.
No, not A major.
F sharp
E minor.
F sharp
A minor. No.
F sharp minor.
No. A7. I heard an A7 there. Well done, that person who did A7. Good. Yes, it's got that. I didn't strum it very often, but it's got that.
Well done, Heather.
Oh, it's Heather, was it? Right. Well done, Heather. Right, we better finish in a minute. Actually, I just realised what the time is, because you'll all have lots of other things to do and need to get on. So one more chord, and then we'll call it a day. So I'll just hide my ukulele off the screen while I play this one. Yeah, I can see some. Yeah, that's Paul and Annabelle look like they're playing it. Good. Well done. It's the opening chord to Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. If anyone listens to that, it's B minor. Good. All right. Well, we're going to move on now, because we're going to finish. So that was a nice little game there. Just a few little bits of information while we finish off. If anyone needs to go, then by all means dash off, because we've gone past the usual 1:45. But just to say that the recording of this will go onto YouTube if you do happen to want to go through it all again, or if you want to just send the link to somebody else for them to try. If you you're in the group today and you didn't get an invite directly from me, but wish to in the future, you'll need to send me your email address one way or another. You can perhaps type it into the chat box, but it might be better if you just find out my email address and send me a message. And then I'll add you to the mail outs, so that you'll be told when this appears on YouTube and when the next session will be. I mean, I can tell you the next session will be in 2 weeks' time at the same time, so that's not a problem. So it's every other Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say, really. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming along. It makes it worthwhile for me that so many people come along and seem to enjoy it. And there's been 69 plus. Some of you are in pairs, so that's easily the biggest group we've had so far. So that's great.
Thanks,
Well done.
Dave.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if
Thanks
you want to
so
press the
much.
space bar and say goodbye, unmute yourself.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
then, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye then.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
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 Right, see you then.
Bye.
See you in 2
Bye.
weeks.
Thanks very much.
2 weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
David, I did it via Mugs and Brian at Mugs.